Hi, this is Rich Me, and this is kind of like my unofficial, official start to my YouTube channel. I want to thank you guys so much for taking the time to stop whatever you're doing in your day and just watch this video. Today's video, like the thumbnail is probably going to say, or the description is probably going to say, is just my testimony about how God has been working in my life and kind of leading me up to starting this video or starting this YouTube channel with this video. So it's a testimony video about how I got the apartment that I'm currently in right now, that I'm filming in. Really God's grace and mercy to me, even in the midst of doubt, in the midst of self-reliance and wanting to do everything on my own. So, or feeling like I had to do everything on my own. So, yes, so a little bit of backstory. I graduated in 2020 from undergrad, and so this was midst of pandemic, right in the middle of the pandemic. I got sent home, and because of, job loss and all the financial instability, my family, my immediate family, was in a place where it was really difficult for my mom to be able to pay bills. And so I decided to move back home and finish up my senior year and then look for a job and kind of just combine funds while we kind of waited it out to see what was going to happen with COVID. So I did that. I moved back home. We were living in a place that wasn't the best quality, and not because of my mom's fault, just because times were hard. She was doing all that she could, and it was just a really difficult financial situation. So we were there, and then finally when I got a job through a nonprofit organization I was working with, I was able to, bring in some income so that we could finally move. And my job actually relocated us from one side of the state to the other. So so that's how I came to be living with my family after college. It wasn't the plan, and it wasn't, I guess, the ideal. It's not, every 20-something's dream to go back and live at home after they've been gone for so long and stuff like that. But it was what was necessary at the time. So fast forward, I'm living with my immediate family for about 3 years, and it's good. It's not bad. It's not horrible, but it wasn't where I wanted to stay. It wasn't where I felt like God was calling me to continue. And, I was content, but I knew that I couldn't just say I was content and hard stop there. Like, I needed to keep growing independently and, with how God wanted to lead me. And I felt like having my own space would definitely help with that. So, but always I just saw finances as the issue. There's a lot of backstory, and I want to respect, the story of the other people involved in this without giving too much detail. But basically, there's a lot of backstory to why moving out wasn't the simplest thing because of different financial issues. But there came a point where I was finally like, you know what, we need to try to do this. My mom is more stable. I'm also living with my siblings. They're growing up, and so it was time to do that. So I started praying to God and talking to a trusted therapist about, just wanting to make this transition, because it's not just a transition out of one house to the next. It's family ties, and it's dependence and codependence, and sometimes or interdependence. So there was a lot at play in it. And so I decided that, it was time to move, and I felt like this was a healthy time to move. So I asked God, please provide a way for us, make a way out of no way. I said this, in prayer, but at the same time, I would still kind of talk to my therapist or to friends or to myself and be like, I don't think it's gonna work. I'm just gonna go little by little, but I'm not gonna get my hopes up, type of thing. So finally came the time for our lease to end or need to be renewed, and this was this year, so 2023. And I was like, you know what, family, like it's time to change things up. So I, started to tell my mom, I'm gonna help you look for places that you can afford, and and while you do that, I'm gonna look for my own place. And so by God's grace, we were able to find a place that was within my mom's budget, and could house her and my younger sister and my brother, who's away at school, is still in school, and so it's kind of cross that bridge when we get to it type of situation. So yeah, we found a place, and that was good. And then the lease, it was still a month left before the lease was going to end. So I was like, you know what, I was paying pretty much the majority of the rent at the place that we were at. So I was like, I'm not going to leave and still have to pay this last month of rent, because if you left early, you would have had to like pay like whatever rent you didn't pay while the lease wasn't up, even if you weren't in the house. So I was like, that's dumb. I'm just going to stay here while you move, transition, and then hopefully this will be an easy transition. We just kind of did that. And for the month of July, I lived in our 3-bedroom apartment alone by myself, which was an interesting situation, but it was good. It was definitely a good like transitional period. And so in the meantime, I started looking for a place to live. And I told God, I really want to live in a specific city, because I don't know, it was close to my job for one, so convenient and just economically smart, but also it was a city that I just felt like had a lot of energy and was a cool place to be. And I don't know, I just really liked it. And so I requested that of God, that he would help me to be able to move to that city. So fast forward, I started looking for places within my budget. And there's a couple coming up. And I'm going to the showings and stuff like that in between work. But they were just asking for, some of them were asking for a lot as far as deposit and security deposit, and they're asking for first month's and last month's rent and like all these things. And it was just, it was getting to be a lot. And I, unfortunately, completely my fault, didn't save the way that I should have, right? I didn't save the way that I could have, that I should have, in order to be more secure about this move. So it was a lot of finessing to figure out, what am I gonna do as far as finding a place that is safe, good to live in, close enough to my job, and I can afford the move-in cost. So I came upon so it came down to like basically maybe the last 15 or so days before the lease ended, and I needed to turn in the form that said, hey, I'm moving this date. This is the forwarding address to all my mail and all this stuff, and all that. So I was looking at, it came down to 2 places that I was looking at. One was a little bit, both were in the budget. One was good, but not really where I wanted to stay. It was a little bit further north or further away from the job that I wanted. And it just wasn't, it was all right, but it wasn't what I loved. And then there was this one that I'm currently in, was in the budget, closer to my job, but had that issue, the security deposit. I think they wanted like 2 times the rent and extra things. Sorry, I need to be better with details. I'm not the best with details, but I knew that it was a stretch, definitely. So came time to put in the application fee for whichever place that I wanted, and I toured the 2 apartments on the same day, and I came to this one and I just really loved it. It has a very it's a small apartment, but it's big enough for me, or you don't know because you don't know me that well, but it's a small apartment, but it's big enough for me, and I really liked it. So I decided to go for it. I said, Lord, you know, this is something that I've been praying about for a long time, and I'm just going to step out on faith and do it and try to figure it out and, you know, do my part and trust that you're going to work out the rest. So I put in the application fee. Everything goes good with that. I get contacted by the leasing manager person. She tells me that the security deposit is 2 times the rent. And the security deposit is 2 times the rent and the application fee. And then I explained to her, you know, like, I understand that, you know, you want to be secure about who's coming into the house, but if I can show you that I have good rental history because I was renting 3 years prior to this, you know, in my name, paid on time every single time, is there a way that we can decrease that? You know, like, it's just too much. Like, we're out here struggling and it's just too much. So she said, okay, I'll get back to you. I'll find out for you. She comes back and she lets me know, you know, after checking with my references and my employment and rental history, that yes, they can decrease the security deposit, and I didn't have to pay first month's and last month's rent. So super big blessing, and I was just thanking God for that. So I was like, okay, gonna move forward. So I put in the security deposit, I'm getting ready to move and all that stuff. But of course, you know, with moving, there's always extra costs. Like, just like, I didn't rent a U-Haul, but it was just where I knew I was gonna come up short with like how much money I had, how much money was coming in, and how much money I needed. And I was just in a place where like, man, maybe I won't be able to move into this place, and I already put the security deposit down and all this. So, you know, what are we gonna do, God? What is gonna be the solution? And you know, I've watched a couple of other people's testimony videos, and they're encouraging. I was watching testimony videos during this time actually, and they were really encouraging. I don't think that my testimony was exactly the same way. It wasn't like, I hear like people like say, you know, a really kind person dropped off, you know, the money that they needed or the furniture that they needed or brought the U-Haul truck. I guess glimpses of my testimony was like that, but not in its totality. So it was really just a step-by-step, day-by-day, like trusting God type of process. And then came the point where, you know, I had to pay the security deposit, but I also had to finish paying the last month of like fees at the other place, and I just didn't have enough. So the Lord put it on my heart to ask someone from my church to be able to help me. And so that was my answered prayer, all in all. You know, he helped me to, a really kind elder at the church helped me to cover what I was lacking in, and then I was able to return to him what he had given me. And it was just a blessing, and I was super grateful and thankful I was able to move. And then to top that, after, because he knew I was moving, he told me, hey, you know, when you're getting ready to move, don't spend any money on like a U-Haul or a packing truck at all. Just let me know when you're getting ready and I will help you. And I'll bring a truck with me. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, pickup truck, we're gonna have to make a couple of, you know, drop off, pickup stops in order to move. I didn't have a lot, but I had enough where I felt like a truck, like a regular pickup truck wouldn't be big enough for everything. But day comes of the move, and he brings a moving van for basically a one apartment type, a moving van big enough for one apartment, or one bedroom apartment, sorry. So yeah, it was just a blessing, an answered prayer. You know, I didn't even think to ask God for it, like those extra little details, but he showed that he was faithful and helped me to be able to get this place. And so yeah, I've been here for about a month now, a month and a half. No, is it a month and a half? no, it's gonna be a month. It's gonna be a month in like 6 days, 7 days. So I just wanted to stop and make this video and just thank God, but also encourage anyone who may come upon it to trust God, to know that He's with you in the step-by-step, even if it's not like something that seems like miraculous. He's with you in the step-by-step, in the everyday, in the details of figuring out how something is going to work out, as long as it's within His will and He's guiding you. So I was reading the Word a couple weeks ago, and I was in the book of Mark, and I came to the parable of the man with the demon-possessed son, who the demon would throw him in the water and then throw him in the fire, and it was happening to him since he was young, and he was pleading with Jesus, asking him to heal his son. So it's in Mark 9, and I'll start at verse 22. So this is a man talking to Jesus, and he says, "From childhood," he said, "and many times it has thrown him into the fire or water to destroy him. But if you can do anything, have compassion on us and help us." Then Jesus said to him, "If you can, everything is possible to the one who believes." And then immediately the father of the boy cried out, "I do believe, help my unbelief." And that just really spoke to me, because I feel like so many times I can be like that father, gingerly or like apprehensively asking God, like, please have mercy, and if you think you can do it, I would really appreciate it, type of thing. But God says, or Jesus is saying to us, like, you just need to believe. You need to ask in my name, and ask in my spirit, and trust that I can do it for you if you believe. So yeah, and that speaks to so many other parts of my life that I won't get into, but I just wanted to stop and give thanks and praise to God in this, and hope that this will encourage others as I'm sure they'll look up a YouTube video and see countless testimonies of how God has helped. And it's not to say like just because you pray and you do it X, Y, and Z like this, like God is going to do it for you too, but it's just to show that God is in the details of our lives. He cares about us, and even if your story isn't like this, just know that God will be in every single detail. And I'm still counting on God every month, every day, to be able to stay here, to be able to provide, because finances are still, not perfect, but I know that with God, I can do all things. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this, and I hope it blessed you.